it's WGRC's Dave and Wanda with another edition of Around the Valley, and we are here in South Williamsport at Timothy Hughes Rare and Early Newspapers, and joining us, it's Intern Emma. Emma, you're first around the valley. Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
Now, you write for a newspaper at school.
Yes, I do.
So now we are going to get to see a collection of newspapers. And Wanda, the cool part that I've been told, these are not reproductions. These are the actual newspapers going as far back 1600s.
It's incredible. I cannot wait to get my hands. Can we get our hands on it?
I don't, you know, I'm used to a museum, like maybe white gloves and stuff. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And the cool thing is, you never know, maybe one of your articles, you know, the newspaper, will end up here someday.
That is true. That would be very impressive.
We'll have to do a follow-up.
We will, in about 100 years.
Yeah.
we're looking for Tim and Guy. Let's see if we can go inside and find them. WGRC's Around the Valley is sponsored by Zook Septic Services, serving central Pennsylvania. Contact them for inspections, repairs, and system maintenance needs at 570-837-1466 or at zookseptic.com.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans.
For I have sworn before you and Almighty God the same solemn oath our forebears prescribed nearly a century and 3/4 ago.
Well, we are here inside, and we've met up with Guy Heileman. Guy, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing well. Thank you so much for having us here. I'm already excited based on what I am seeing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your role here and exactly what we are going to get to see today?
I started in 2002, and I was brought in. There was a group of men from the Lancaster area who ended up buying a large portion of the business from the founder. And then I was selected from Lancaster. I was teaching at the time, and I was selected to come up and run the business. And I just remember the first time I walked through, and at some point everybody will get a chance to see it, but took a look at our warehouse. I was just blown away. What we sell our name is Rare and Early Newspapers, but our focus is primarily on newspapers that have some sort of a collectible value. So that could be that it's just a rare title from back in the 1600s or 1700s or from one of the major wars, or it could be just something, any kind of an area where people collect. If you're from a particular town, a lot of museums, they'll want newspapers from way back in the day when the town was first being developed. And but then a whole nother branch of our business besides the historical issues are a lot of people like to buy them for gifts. And so we sell birthday papers. So if I was born in 2001, is there a newspaper from a certain date in 2001, and we'll sell those as well. So it's kind of fun because you deal with a lot of writers who, whenever they want to write a book on a particular era, they'll buy everything they can from that particular era, and they'll read it so that they gain that context of what's going on. But then, of course, a lot go to museums and then just individual collectors.
Now, what's your kind of main job here? What's your day-to-day look like working with these papers?
Well, my main role is basically, we have a staff of, right now it's a staff of 5, and my main role is to interface between the collectors and what it is that we have to offer. We have other people who will write up descriptions of the newspapers, other people that will find newspapers that have value, other people that will do the filming, but my role is to then become the interface between that newspaper and potential buyers.
Gotcha.
And I believe there is a guy here named Tim Hughes, and I think he's going to give us a tour of the back here in just a moment.
Yeah, yep. Tim's a great guy. He's the founder.
All right, let's go find Tim.
Yep.
So to speak. My first big purchase really was from the Connecticut Historical Society. This was back 1988. They got rid of everything in their inventory that wasn't from Connecticut, which makes sense. I mean, if you're Connecticut Historical Society, what do you want, a Maine newspaper or Vermont or whatever? And it literally was like 2 truckloads worth of newspapers. That went back to the 1780s. It was just a wonderful collection. So a lot of libraries at certain times will decide they're just going to divest themselves of anything that's not pertinent to what they're there for. Yeah, and some of them sometimes they're handed down through the family.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got Revolutionary War. American newspapers are quite uncommon. We might only, out of 3.5 million issues we have in our inventory, we might have 50 American Red War papers.
Wow.
Not many.
Yeah.
But corresponding, the prices they're usually in the $300 to, they could go up to $5,000-$8,000 depending what the content is. So the price is dependent upon what the event is. Battle of Lexington and Concord is going to be a lot more desirable and valuable than some mediocre battle that was fought in New Jersey. Coming up more into the 20th century, I mean, a lot of people hung on to newspapers on John F. Kennedy's assassination. I remember most. Mike would remember it, but most of the people today weren't alive. Anyway, every newspaper across the country had the headline, Kennedy assassinated, but the one to get is the one from Dallas, because that's where he was assassinated. So a true collector likes to get newspapers of events where they happen as much as possible. Yeah. And if it's something, and maybe if someone's looking for something that's family related, that's not a historical event, if they gave us a title and a date, that something about their great-great-great-grandfather appeared in the newspaper, we could probably find it if we have that title. So we can search by, if someone gives us a date, through our database, we can find a newspaper, if not several newspapers. One of our big things that we do is selling birthday and anniversary newspapers. Oh. Obviously, of the last 90 plus years or so, that's about it. If you want to give an interesting present to Aunt Martha, who's 88 years old, what do you buy Aunt Martha, who's 88 years old? Give her a newspaper from the day she was born. So you can see what the ads were, what a car sold for,
That's
what
really
a
cool.
coat.
That is cool. Yeah.
So we do a lot of that.
So all these volumes, the ones that are on the racks, have all been gone through already, and all the key items have been pulled out.
Yeah.
Now they're on the shelf for, to look. Maybe somebody's looking for a particular issue on a certain date from cities all over the country.
Yeah, one of the most desirable newspapers that people like to collect that have a little bit of money is the Pennsylvania Gazette, which was printed by Ben Franklin in Philadelphia. And he didn't print it the entire time. He wasn't the publisher, but for quite a bit of time he did. What makes this unique is that it would be a regular 2-page or 2-leaf newspaper that would have 4 pages, but often he would include an advertising page, and that would be tacked on as an extra leaf. So he would sign his name, or it was in block print, but it would say printed by Ben Franklin, but that was on the advertising leaf on almost every issue. Well, what do you do with anything that's advertising? When you have a newspaper, you throw it away. And so most of them don't have the Ben Franklin. I mean, even though it was published by him, they don't have the Ben Franklin imprint.
So as we are here perusing through historical newspapers, many that listen to WGRC know that I served in the Navy on the USS Iowa. I served on her from 88 to 90, but she was actually a World War II battleship, and we found the original paper, the New York Times, going back to August of 1942. Front page story, mightiest warship is launched. And then when you turn back a few pages, you see the picture. Again, this is not a reproduction. This is the actual newspaper. So this is pretty cool to be seeing this here. Right now, I'm standing here with Brian, who is another long-term employee, which, Brian, that seems to be a theme here. People love being here and just continuing to do this work. I understand that you've taken a lot of photographs during your time here. Why are you taking photographs? What are you exactly doing with those?
Well, all our photographs are attached to our descriptions, so people can actually see what the newspaper looks like with the headlines and all that. Well, what I do is I just take a newspaper like this, Roosevelt Death. Because of the big headline, my first photo would be the entire front page, and then I'll just take a bunch of other photos of the articles. We have a whole run of the LA Times, which is the best newspaper to have for movie ads, because that's the home of the entertainment industry.
Yeah, if people wonder when political cartoons became popular, when they started, this actually is America's very first political cartoon. It's familiar to a lot of people because it's used today, oftentimes, unite or die. This is from 1775, the beginning of the Revolutionary War, but it was actually created by Ben Franklin. And he created it in 1754 during the French and Indian War. But it resurrects itself at times when there are trouble and when the colonies need to get together to fight a common enemy. But yeah, Pennsylvania Journal, 1775. That's America's first political cartoon.
Well, we are about to wrap up our time here at Rare Newspapers, and our host here, or I should say a couple of our hosts, we met several people, Tim and Guy. This has been an amazing treasure trove of history that we that we've been able to look through. What's going to happen from here on out? Just keep collecting, adding more? What are we looking at down the road?
Our main goal will be to continue to be on the hunt for new newspapers, additional newspapers to sell, and to interface with the technology and the internet as much as we can as we go.
Emma, you're first around the valley. What do you think?
I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me come.
Yeah.
And I also really liked walking into the warehouse back there. It was just mind-blowing because like I write for a newspaper at my school, so it was just really cool to see history in its original form.
Yeah. Something that really stuck with me is you shared a little bit about your faith and how that incorporates into your business and how you do business. Tell us about that.
In almost every collectible, you're going to have a certain percentage of people who are going to try to either overstate the value of something or overstate what it actually is or the condition. And so because of our faith roots, you know, we just don't want to do that. We always want to put our best foot forward. We want to over describe the imperfections. We want to be as accurate with describing what something is and its value. And so, and in the end, that certainly sometimes that might hurt some sales because maybe we could have inflated what something was worth. But time after time, it has actually done the reverse, which is people know because it's a collectible, they buy something, they can trust what we say. And there's been times when Tim has placed, somebody has come to him with an offer to sell something to us that we could buy. And because he has, you know, we all have that same approach, he will never give an offer that is under what something is worth. And so his reputation and therefore our reputation is just, well, it's honoring to God.
Yeah.
And so, that's been a real blessing for us.
You can find out more about Rare Newspapers. Be sure you watch all the way till the end. We'll have some contact information from you, because then, who knows, maybe you can do what I'm going to do, which is go shopping. I see some newspapers.
Dottie might be, she should be worried, yeah.
She should be. Hey, if you have an idea, a place of interest, or a hobby or craft or a collection that you would like to show us or teach us, we encourage you to submit your idea via email. Here's the address, morningshow@wgrc.com. That is morningshow@wgrc.com. And who knows, next time we may just see you
around the valley.
All right, let's go. I'm going shopping.